Hi, my name is Miss Ryan, and today we're going to discuss the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, otherwise known as the Reconstruction Amendments. Unfortunately, I don't have really fun hand movements to do with these amendments like I do for the first 10 amendments or the Bill of Rights. If you haven't checked out that video, please go check it out. Before we dive in, let's set the stage for the historical context that ushered in these three amendments. The Civil War has ended, we're trying to move forward as a country without slavery, and we need to figure out how to grant equal protection of the law with formerly enslaved people all across the country. Jumping right on into it, the 13th Amendment is the one that ends slavery and involuntary servitude, but we're actually going to dive in a little bit closer in just a second. The 14th Amendment grants citizenship to all persons born on U.S. soil, essentially ushering in citizenship for formerly enslaved people. And then lastly, the 15th Amendment prohibits states from denying any U.S. citizen the right to vote based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude, which essentially secured Black men the right to vote. All right, now we're going to dive in just a little bit closer to each of these three amendments to kind of talk about the caveats of each of them. Zooming in on the 13th Amendment, the exact wording of this says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. That except is a really big except. The reason that except is so big is yes, slavery is illegal, involuntary servitude is illegal, but forced labor is allowed when you are a convict. And southern states exploited this exception by passing extremely discriminatory laws like the Black Codes. You could get arrested for the most minor thing, and guess what? Back in prison doing forced labor. I strongly suggest when you've got some time looking into the work conditions and expectations of our prisoners across the country in America, because that directly relates to this exact amendment. The 14th Amendment is actually one of my favorite amendments in the entire Constitution because this one guarantees all persons equal protection under the law and due process. The really important wording in this amendment is persons. So I'm going to read it for you. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Citizens there. Next sentence. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within the jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. The United States Constitution is incredibly specific when they use the word citizen versus person. So when they are saying citizens, these are actual rights that are protected to U.S. citizens. However, when the Constitution uses the word person or persons, it applies to any person on U.S. soil, regardless of immigration status. And then lastly, the 15th Amendment is the one that says that states are not allowed to prohibit you the right to vote as a U.S. citizen based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Even though these three amendments were passed and ratified intending to protect the rights and freedoms of Black Americans throughout the country, the reality is that there were countless barriers put into place by white Americans to try to inhibit these rights. There were countless pieces of legislation passed forth through the Jim Crow era that tried to lower these rights. Things like poll taxes, literacy tests, the grandfather clause. Right? Separate but equal and segregation. Countless acts of violence and intimidation and lynchings across the country. Economic discrimination, right? Refusing people the right to own land, to own homes, to get certain jobs. We've certainly come an incredibly long way since the 1860s, and I'm endlessly thankful for the Reconstruction Amendments and all of the power that they do protect the citizens and people in this country. There is still more work to be done. Don't forget that if a right is taken away from one of us, they are taken away from all of us. Always make sure that you are filling your brain with knowledge. Education is the only thing they can never take away from you. Have a great day.